Yeah, live stream, that's right, yes. We're good to go, thank you, Harriet. Right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this Audit and Risk Committee meeting on this beautiful Wairarapa afternoon. We'll try and make it short and sharp so you can go and enjoy the great weather that you put on for me. Thank you for that. Right. Any conflicts of interest need to be declared for decisions? None. Apologies. We've got an apology for Councillor Tom. Any other apologies? Dex for lateness. Dex for lateness. She's coming. All right. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Craig, seconded Councillor David. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Next item is public forum. No items on public forum. Items not on the agenda, Mr. Chief Executive?
No.
None? Excellent. I'm going to change the order of the agenda slightly. We've got 3 members of our reporting bodies here, so we'll take them first in the order of the agenda. So we will do 6.2, 6.3, and then we'll go back to 5.1 and 6.1. And then we'll carry on with the agenda if everyone's comfortable.
Can you just flip through what's the page number for that one?
Page number is 37.
Thank you. Destination Wairarapa first, yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
It's on my agenda, Councillor.
What page is it?
37.
37 on the electronic one.
Good.
Item 6.2. Welcome, Anna. And we've got a report. Sorry? Anna, all right. And Karen, do you want to introduce the report?
Got a left turn, yeah.
The left turn, yeah. Oh, you can. Should we let us on the end of the table or make a stand on the left turn? Right. Karen, just introduce the report.
It's the regular quarterly report, and yeah, I'll just hand over to Anna to take us through it.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
Thank you. I feel like I'm about to start the choir. You're all seated and paying great attention. Thank you very much for having me again. I feel like I've got a frequent flyer card coming in here at the moment. It's great to see you all, and I value the opportunity to be in front of you to speak to you and answer any questions that you may have. You would have seen in our report that, as predicted, October was fairly dismal. But you'll also note that it was countrywide. Nobody had an increase in spend, everybody saw a significant decrease, and I don't think I need to go into the reasons for that. We're all very aware of what happened in October and I guess the sentiment of the nation at the time. Unfortunately, because Wellington is our biggest feeder market for visitors, there's still some trepidation, I would say is a good word for it, for people who live down in Wellington in terms of job cuts and their future employment prospects as the coalition government works through reducing numbers in the large government organisations. In saying that, as you all know, the data has always got this terrible lag on it. It's not great talking about October when here we are in February. So what I'll do is I'll take the opportunity to tell you about what's happening now. We don't have the data to back that up, but hopefully what I say will be represented in the data when we finally get it. We're seeing the numbers. You've seen the numbers. Masterton is doing great. We're full again this weekend. People are still travelling. We're getting more and more international travellers coming through. The eyesight tell me that they're 3 times busier than they have been for a long, long time. Asking information, seeking accommodation, recommendations, etc., etc. The sun is shining. Wairarapa is known for its weather, and that's one of the reasons people come here to enjoy the great outdoors, which we have a lot of, and enjoy Kiwiti Park. I mean, have you seen it buzzing quite so much as it has over the recent weeks and months, and it continues to do so. It's the real heart of our tourism here. But even so, when you go further out into the regions, there's so much going on. The Castle Point races, yay, it's going to be happening this year. Fabulous to see. We've got smaller businesses in the agritourism sector, one of them being Rewa Station in Tanui. They do specialise in wool spinning, And she's got wall spinning classes, workshops that she's putting on that we're promoting as well. There's the drags. Drags always bring a good amount of people and good supporters of Masterton into the district for that period of time. There's just heaps on. We had the lovely Metahiwi Beer Festival, the inaugural one, which was a raging success, and we know that they're keen to do more. There's all sorts of things. So we know the people are coming. It'll be interesting to see what the spend is. So anecdotally, I'm hearing that the visitors are here, but rather than buying a bottle of wine to share over dinner, they might be buying just a glass. Rather than buying a full-priced item at the retail, they're buying something on sale, or they're buying a scarf or something smaller as an auxiliary, as opposed to what they might have been doing this time last year. So people are very conscious of what they're spending and how they're spending, but that doesn't mean that they're not coming, because we can all see that, which is really positive, and it makes me feel very excited about the future. I think I've said many a time, we're on a really exciting growth period. Although the economy is not supporting that, the awareness of our region, what we have to offer, is getting greater and greater, and that's what people want. They want agritourism opportunities. They want cycling. They want to explore the Masterton district around the wonderful trails here. They want to go to events in the park. They want to experience dark skies, and that's what we've got to offer. So it's pretty cool. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Do I understand?
No.
With the website development, how long has that been in development, and when will it finally be ready?
It will be ready. The projected timelines are on budget and on timeline, and that should be March, April.
What was the budget there?
It's about 15,000 for
15,000.
Yeah, and that's a third of what an RTO would normally pay for a website that does what it does. And I know we've had this discussion before. The websites that we have API feeds coming in from Tourism New Zealand. An API feed.
What's the
So it's an API feed is where you have, it's like a feed that comes from a different website directly into your website to help funnel traffic. It's not a link, it's a direct feed. So with Tourism New Zealand, with the nz.com, they spend millions and millions of dollars pointing everybody, call to action, to that website. And then once they get to the page that says Wairarapa, it directly comes into our website, so therefore our content is sitting there, and vice versa. So it's the technical capability of the websites that we need, things like maps that, like a Google map, geographically we pull up everybody that we've got here in the region doing what they need to do. That is another specific piece of tech. I can't tell you the name of it because it's not my field of expertise. So there's a lot of technical stuff that needs to be done. And to date, to my knowledge, if we can successfully pull this up, this will be the most cost-effective RTO website in all of New Zealand. It is quite spectacular what they're managing to achieve under the constraints of price cost that we went under.
So how would that differ to, say, someone Googling 10 things to do in the Wairarapa in February?
That takes you to Google, and it will list anyone who's put any money behind Google ads. That will lift up a particular business. So the 10 things may not be 10 things that are most popular. They are often the 10 things that somebody has paid to put in there. And you'll notice that if you're going for an event, let's say Castle Point Races, for example, if you were to buy a ticket, the popularity of that event and how much they can spend on marketing for that will get them so far up the Google list. What happens is the scammers or the websites that are not necessarily as ethical as we'd like them to be, they pay for their own website to be at the top in order for us to go, oh, Castle Point tickets, oh, they're selling out. I need to get on this top one first and buy, and that's how they do it. When you're coming through our website, it's curated by, not by what we think is popular, it's curated by what's available, and it's served up based on what you want, what your preferences are, not what Google is telling you somebody's paid to serve up to you.
So who curates it? Who is it?
So Destination Wairarapa.
Oh, so people are doing this now.
Yeah. So all the, at the moment, we're going through all of our businesses and making sure that they're on nz.com and their feature is there and they've got great content and they've got imagery, because that will be pulled through into our site. So we're making sure that they've got great presence. And then we do what's called listicles. So within there, it'll say 10 events coming up in the Wairarapa, and they'll be listed by date. So those sorts of things that we put out there so that everybody has an opportunity to see what's available fairly.
So let's say the people that sell honey down in Tahanikau, down Russell,
Yeah.
wanted to promote, how would they promote it? Do you go to them or do they come to you?
They come to us, but we also go out and say, hey, we see that you're doing, you're out there. And they're a great example, Greta and Honey. They're really proactive, and they're really interested in diversifying their portfolio, because they've been in the honey business, and as we know, honey is not doing so well, and so they're diversifying into events and running. So they've got a trade product, and I often talk about products, and we can sell their product to international people coming through. A bee experience, put on a search and go out and learn all about beekeeping. That's really quite unique, and they've really got on board working with Chrissy, our product development manager, in order to make sure the pricing that's targeted at visitors coming from out of the region to experience something like this.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm just reading obviously the first key deliverables around increasing that number of visitors staying. I see at the last report we've only partially achieved that, and then again this time we haven't achieved it at all. So I just want to get an understanding of what Destination Wairarapa is actually doing around planning, or ideas they've got to really try and achieve that throughout the year, not just sort of sporadically, to try and keep it quite consistent.
Oh, you mean the accommodation data? So
Yeah.
everything we do, we're an RTO, Regional Tourism Organisation, everything we do is marketing.
Yeah.
And it is all about driving visitation, bringing people to come and stay and spend longer. So everything, we have a marketing plan, an annual marketing plan, which is absolutely targeted at being the best that we can do in order to bring those visitors here. The problem is with the data on the other side, that is reliant on the motels and hotels to update that information as well. And it's challenging for organisations to keep up to date with that, and it's done through a third party. So it's something to be mindful of, and that is something to, it's the only thing we can measure on. But I would look at the trends and look at what else is going on at the same time, as opposed to the numbers. So some of those properties are not all open for visitors, they're half and half.
Yeah.
They don't just necessarily disclose that, and they certainly don't disclose that on that document.
So do you think maybe after this year, when the year comes to an end, we could get an overview of maybe the last couple of years of that data that we do get, even though you're saying it's not actually 100% accurate, just to gauge, to see? I can't visualise it myself personally. I'd have to just go through every single report, but it'd be just nice to see, okay, so when are the peaks and when are the lows, and the whys, and the what did we do or what didn't we do?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether it will allow, when it comes to spend, you can get the data by RTO, but you can't get it by TLA unless it's a rolling average. And that you can't see. I don't know whether your Infometrics data might be able to show it, but we don't have access to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't show like a weekend peak or midweek. It's not to that granular level, and in order to get that information, it's freaking expensive. Certainly without our realm. Sorry.
Right, just got questions going to come at this point.
Sure. But I will do my very best at giving you an annual look at that. And I'll have to come back to you. I'm off the top of my head at TLA level. I know it's difficult to get that sort of information.
Thank you.
Councillor Craig, Councillor Goodwood, and Councillor Pitts. Okay.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm pretty sure I've asked this question before. I just would like some more clarification around it. We see in October that the spend was 15.9 million for domestic, and international was 1.2. Now that's Wairarapa wide, correct?
I did it by TLA and also RTO. Sorry, could you... Is it?
of the actual.
I don't have a copy of that.
38, page 38, MTR, MRTE data for Wairarapa. Domestic tourism in Wairarapa spent 15.9 million in October 2023.
If it's, sorry, my apologies, because I know there was an RTO graph and there was also a TLA graph.
38.
Page 38, thank you.
Starts with MRTE data.
Yes.
Yep. It's fairly generic questions. So.
Yeah. If it says in the Wairarapa, then it was probably as per the RTO, not for Masterton.
Yes, so my question is, in your opinion,
Yeah.
getting information that is specific to Masterton is very difficult.
Very difficult, yes.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
So that is probably as far as I can go with the question.
Okay, right.
I can send you some the Masterton data, specifically graphs that I have, but it is only rolling averages, and it's not. It only gives you like year to date in October end to date. It's not. It's not any more detailed than that.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Councillor Goodall.
The informatics graph, personally I find that very informative, and that is available in our databases, which just tracks that New Zealand versus Masterton, I think specifically Masterton.
Yes. Sorry. I believe that you pay for that specific information for Masterton.
We do, but with us paying for it available,
Yes.
I would suspect
Karen, you
We can circulate that around, the information that we've got.
Yes.
Send that back through to you.
That would help. Matt and I for some time have been working, or we're trying to work on developing some sort of dashboard and bringing together all the sources of information, whether it's weed stuff, whether it's our stuff, whether it's what you have, whether it's something Wellington NZ to be better. It's just, data is so problematic, and it's making sure that our sources are reliable. I'm not saying that informatics isn't, it's the other areas as well. But it is a work in progress.
Councillor.
Yeah, hi Anna. Just a follow-up question on Craig's domestic tourism. I noticed that it's down 22% year on year, October versus October. We also had a hiatus when COVID was apparent because people couldn't travel overseas, so our domestic tourism market bounced and wired it up and did particularly well. However, to me that's a blip, whereas this is business as usual. What concerns me is that your drivers for domestic tourism, and that's our market, primarily stimulated by Wellington. So what would you say, where are the opportunities that we're missing, or what would drive higher domestic tourism in Wairarapa? Because you say you're all about marketing.
Yes.
But I mean, are we missing because we don't have tourism products to sell? Because we're not capturing, we're exposed to not capturing a certain market? Is it because we don't have certain attractions that are now popular?
Yeah.
Like, what would be some game changers that would drive domestic tourism other than you just relying on marketing?
Yes. I think product development is the key thing, because that's the measure of spend. And the more people come to the region and spend more money, so you've got to give them reasons to stay longer, more activities to do, or more choices in accommodation as well. We've got a lot of motels here, some of them are in circulation, some of them not, because of the reasons that we've talked about previously. We've got great campgrounds, and we've got good facilities for motorhomes and that sort of thing. But there is, we want them to spend more money, and apart from pukaha, there's very few sort of paid for activities that you do here. The next measure would be Cocktail, that they can bring in chunky amounts of people, and that's conferences and events. So the opportunity around conferences and events would be, and small ones, not because we can't look after large ones, but the smaller market in that area that would be great. I think that's a real opportunity, and paid for activities. More Cycling Tom down the road, he's got tourism in his vision. Because the retail side has done so well, they've had to just slow down the tourism growth. But they want to bring visitors here to do cycling packages around the northern part of the Wairarapa. So that's Masterton. They've got to stay somewhere. They've got to hire the bikes. They've got to get more food. There's real opportunity sorry, in that area.
But in that you're reliant on other people to put the products together. So that's, a little bit out of your control.
Well, that's right, and that's where, traditionally RTOs have been about marketing, but recently we've had Chrissy, who's the product development specialist, and she's been able to work on businesses, helping businesses grow these packages, and she's done it exceptionally well. And that's where the biggest added value, I feel, for this region is, we do the marketing that we can with the money that we have. But the spend is going to go up when you've got more stuff that people can buy.
So is that the gap?
That's the
product
gap.
development?
Yeah, that's the gap. And it's things like agritourism, it's the dark skies opportunity, it's cycling. You've got great trails around here. Locals know about it, but not so, they're using them, but we want more visitors to use them too.
Thank you.
Ms. Stella?
Just on that note, you mentioned Chrissy. I just read here that until the other alternative funding's been found, that may not be a thing anymore. Can you just update on where you at with that? Because that is a little concern.
It's hugely concerning.
Yeah.
Because she has been so successful, and that was due to it's a number. COVID allowed us to get funding from the government, which allowed us to do the destination management plan. So that was the plan that told us what community want and lay on demand. And so we've got this idea of what we need to do. And product development was one of the big opportunities. Cycling, dark skies, agritourism, 3 big opportunities, wadded up a white. And Chris, we were also able to get money to get Chrissy to start work on this. It was only for 12 months. And then the dark skies opportunity really took off, and the reserve was announced, it was 12 months, just over 12 months ago. So she's been actively working that angle along with agritourism as well. And it's going really well, but it's not what we've typically been funded for. So we've got to find alternative sources. Unfortunately, the way that the central government is at, there isn't any PGF or anything out there that we can apply for. I know the whole of the East Coast is interested in agritourism, from Tararua District Council, Central Hawke's Bay, even up to Hawke's Bay. No one has a Chrissy because RTOs don't do this traditionally, but that's where the opportunity lies. And there are many people who are keen, they see her benefit and the value she's bringing, and it's real tangible money, it's real money. It's not, marketing is very difficult to measure. I put my hand in heart and go, it's very challenging to say we're making bang for buck because of the data, and it's very arbitrary. But what she's doing is putting real money in people's pockets. Operators that have increased their per person yield by 220%, you can't fudge those numbers. And so we're trying our best, but we need more time to match the opportunity.
Where are you sourcing or going, reaching out for other funding?
Talking to everybody and anybody. So agritourism, MPI have a sustainable fund there that we look into. Is there a way that we can tag on with the work that Renee Hogg's been doing in the Wairarapa and also in Tararua, that we can do something concurrently that could also pay for product development in that space. We've been talking to MB through Shane Watt, but there just isn't anything that's becoming available that we know of in MB. It hasn't really come out what the Tourism Minister wants to do with the infrastructure fund. Is there something? It's just timing.
Okay. Thanks. I'm just conscious of time.
Yeah, so if product development is the opportunity which will put more money in the area and get people staying longer, would you say that is more valuable, for instance, Chrissy's position, than perhaps some traditional services that you offer, like the eyesight?
Are there reporters in the room?
We're streaming live, so
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, quite often we all get involved in business as usual, but don't grow, but we see the gaps.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, in general, do you think there's more value in moving in that direction?
It's very challenging for me to publicly say that, because I do manage 2 eyesights and staff that sit under this.
I was just using it as an example.
I'm really happy for this discussion, just conscious that this is actually as a committee, right? We can't do anything, right? And I would wonder whether that's a discussion for the LTP, right? As personal, right? In terms of where the focus should be going forward.
I would like to point to that, just not want to make a point to the other councillors, but both the Deputy Mayor and myself have talked to our
and Robin Darnell from, and we will come to council over the next couple of weeks with how we think this could go ahead. We think that it's very important. Chrissy's position is extremely important, and there could be ways and means that the council could be involved. And so I think that this is a discussion we'll have going ahead.
My desire is absolutely to make this region profitable. I live here, I'm very proud of being here, and I will be making sure that what I do in my role brings as much revenue into this region as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? No? Oh, is it relevant to the report, or is it about, excuse me, is it about the report to date, not about future funding?
And has there been a study of why people come here in terms of reduced numbers from 40,000 for Pukahart, 75,000 for Holdsworth?
Not to that level of detail, but certainly when we did the destination management plan, we had funds to employ what was known as Colmar Brunton back then, in order to look at, that's the demand data that I talked about, but we haven't had, they're expensive, and they're expensive for a reason, because you have to find people who have never been here before and show them what's available, and there's all sorts of manner of things they go through in order to find that information and research and make sure it's robust, and it's expensive. And we just don't have the money to do that again. That was 2 years ago now. I'd love to be able to refresh that data. That is the other half of the DMP. That's why the DMP is really important, because it points us in the direction of what people want, what we have, and where the gaps are.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right, so thank you very much, Anna. We've got a recommendation on page 37. Might have a mover for that recommendation, please. Thank you, Marana. Seconded. Thank you, Stella. Any further? Right, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
That is carried. Our next item is report on Aratoi and Nuku'ora. Right? Thank you, Sarah. To Sarah, isn't it?
Yes,
I got that right, yeah.
Just that's the page.
Oh, sorry, yeah, absolutely.
We don't have the ability to physically put the agenda.
43. Apologies. No?
Excuse me, Chair, just to note too, so Sarah's here, Director of Aratoi. Nuku'ora won't be here till 2 p.m, so we need to deal with those two separately.
Right, thank you. And by the way, I noticed people playing with the aircon. I know it's hot in here. I think that the temperature is progressively coming down. Is that what?
It should be now.
Should be. Fingers crossed. Right. Thank you.
Hello, Kato. Nice to see you all. I share Anna's, it's a bit strange being up here, but quite nice to be able to see all of your faces at the same time. Reiterating what Anna said about how nice it is to actually be here and present, and also that we can test that October was a quiet month as well. You'll see from our financials, and it's not uncommon that the second quarter of our year has a lot more money coming out, particularly this quarter with some really big and impressive exhibitions. But as we all know, things quieten down in January, February, so that's how we balance things in our budget so that we have quieter months in our third quarter. So where you see things like the exhibition budget being higher, we're balancing that out in the rest of the year. We're feeling the same things that everyone's feeling, and that prices and costs are going up. Where we can manage them, we're managing them, and we're looking at our budgeting process at the moment. I'll jump to our key results areas. We had a couple of things into the collection. Exciting actually about the teapot. I know it's a Greytown teapot, but it's going to be going up in the next couple of months in an exhibition called In Recognition that brings out works from our collection that were gifted, presented or received in recognition of a service or of a event or a skill that people on the Wairarapa had. So some really great Masterton stories about some you have law firms and bankers closing their doors on a Friday evening or Friday afternoon so they could go and play sport against each other and win a trophy at the end of it. So it's going to be a really great exhibition showing. Also stories about local doctors being given bits of Panamu in recognition of the 1930s for giving medical services at no cost as a koha in exchange. So really great to see how these objects entering our collections really do enrich the stories we can tell at Aratoi. Also lovely getting always lovely getting a Rhonda Gregg in the collection. She's a big favourite of those of us in the Wairarapa. Exciting to have the Robin Whites come back from their very long tour around the country, highlighting the incredible work, and just another little signal that potentially Summer Grasses might be going in 2025 to another exhibition in Japan. So that work continues to be a real feather in the cap of the Aratoi collection. Had some really incredible exhibitions showcasing particularly the skills and talents of Wairarapa artists and our history. And I think those of you who were there at the opening of the Wairarapa Art Review will know how buzzing it was to have so many people coming to celebrate our skills and incredible. There was in fact so many people that we couldn't really give an accurate gauge of how many people were in the building because it was so full of incredible people. I will say that we have a max capacity of 650, so I know it was less than that, but it was really great to see so many people coming through and having our events being really well attended by locals is really wonderful. As for all of our key results indicators, all of them are either achieved or in progress, where we're tracking towards achieving. A lot of them say around financials, we can only really say we're in progress because we won't achieve it until we've achieved yearly impact. So I also wanted to plug, I bought my laptop and the Aratoi tote bag at the end of last year. Got t-shirts as well, so if you want to look cool and support Aratoi, then come into the gallery. It's very good quality, has a nice big bit at the bottom so you can carry lots of groceries in it. My laptop felt almost insignificant. I'm so happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
I just have one question, just around when you talk about exhibition funding, is that when we lease out art to other establishments, or is that something?
No, so we don't do lease out. Exhibition funding is where we get funding from primarily Trust House to fund our exhibitions. So that involves the staff cost of hanging them, the freight to get things, making the labels, hiring any equipment we need, the ongoing things that we need for putting signage up, hosting artists, things like that.
So this is just a question I'd like to know, but do art galleries charge out, we're going to Japan with Robin, so do we get a fee for that from that Japanese gallery? Does it work like that?
The goal is to not necessarily charge out, we make it a cost neutral, they have to pay for everything,
Right.
But for a lot of galleries, if we added charges on top of that, they'd say, well, we're not paying it.
Yeah.
Because it's
So
not
we
an
get stuff
extra
for
norm.
free and we let things go for it.
Yeah, so that's the idea, is keeping it as cost neutral because we'd get the benefit of things from our collection, showing them from Aratoi going around the world and around the country. And as long as it doesn't cost Aratoi or the people of Wairarapa anything for that to happen, we think the benefits of it being out there in the world are
Thank you.
great.
Councillor Bex, thank you.
Yep, thanks Sarah. We spoke last time about South Wairarapa not continuing with their funding, and I also look at the funding from Masterton, which is tiny. Does their funding have tags associated with it as well, or the KPI is only relevant to Masterton?
The KPI is only relevant to Masterton. Their funding primarily goes into our operational pool money. So the only things that really get tagged are things like exhibitions. So none of the money from Masterton goes towards putting our exhibitions up. that's all trust house funding. So,
Okay, so while we have some KPIs which are in regard to local exhibitions, local stories, are they Masterton, local exhibitions and local stories, or are they Wairarapa, local exhibitions and local stories?
almost always, given the way these regions intermix, it's a mixture of both. So something like the In Recognition exhibition coming up, it has some very strong Masterton stories, but it equally has some Greytown and some
So
South Wales
what I'm trying to
stories.
get at is your funding isn't actually location specific, is it?
No.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Oh,
No, I've just got one on insurance, Sarah.
Mhm.
Like everybody, your insurance has been sky high.
Yeah.
I just wonder, you've got a lot of artefacts that are privately owned there. Who carries the insurance on those privately owned? Like, do you have a cover that covers the whole
Yeah, we have.
business?
It primarily covers the whole business. Technically, with a lot of our loan agreements with people, we say that they cover the insurance, but there is a little bit of wiggle rooms in there, though. In our loan agreements, it says that unless it has been taken out and we say that we'll cover, then it's the owners who cover the insurance.
Councillor.
Just over the regional aspect of your funding, the teapot from South Wairarapa and they're not funding. What sort of dialogue? When are you a Masterton institution or a Wairarapa one? And partially it's a question we have to ask too, is if you don't get funding from South Wairarapa, why are you telling their stories and collecting their artifacts?
And that's certainly conversations we are having internally and we're having with them. It is also impacts on our relationship with iwi as well, which is something that we're hopeful that in the next round of funding that will be coming up in a couple of months, when we have conversations with South Wairarapa, they will understand that as a regional organisation we are holding taonga that is reflective of benefits the whole region and that it benefits everyone, that Aotearoa is strong and thriving and able to tell the Wairarapa stories as well as we possibly can. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll just hold the recommendation till after 2 o'clock. All right, so we'll go back to the agenda and go back to 5.1, health and safety on page 6. So Ben, is this Punch and Judy?
Kane's going to present today.
Sorry, Kane, I didn't refer to you. You can take your pick, whatever you want to be. You can be Punch or Judy, okay?
We'll see who's who at the end of it.
Yep. We'll take the report as read. Are there any highlights, further information you want to bring to the committee's attention?
Excellent. I just want to walk through the report for the committee. So as stated, it was a quiet quarter for events from our customers facing roles, which is still a fantastic result. Obviously last year we had some peak in Q1, so that's still continuing to its downward trend, sort of balancing back to where it normally lives. So that's really a positive sign in the community. We have taken some extra steps in those spaces as well, including extra signage, etc. We have designed a lockdown protocol, which is a big step for process, and we are undertaking an assessment of further security measures for the future development. The Health and Safety Culture Program is a big piece of work and continuing. Our new system is in the testing phase and we are getting some interesting information out of that and some good buy-in from our product champions in the organisation. As part of that, we are utilising the ELT now to undertake regular audits, but we will be implementing that. We've done a demo test of that, myself and Ben went out and undertook some testing at various contract work sites. There were a few, it was mostly positive results. There were a few mixed bags which we have reported back to managers in Tier 3 for a bit of tightening up on procedure for some of our contractors, but that's a good thing in itself. We also are expecting some better clarity from our business units around their auditing of contractors and sites through the new system, as that will be the place of truth that we will gather that data from. So that'll be excellent to see that. Prior to Christmas, we had a health and safety committee election, which was a fantastic buy-in from the organisation. We had 11 candidates, which were 7 were implemented into the new health and safety committee, and we have just this morning had our first proper meeting, and it was a really positive experience to get those people in that room and talking about health and safety across the organisation. We're just working to fit it in with Kim's schedule to have him attend as well as a good luck. It would be great to have Kim in the room, as there's some very vocal voices that want to have an outcome. So that'd be great to feed that back to ELT once the minutes are in. We'll report to them. As well as that, the health and safety policy has been reviewed by the policy team, which has been approved by ELT, and I have put that forward as a endorsement from the Audit and Risk Committee, which will be done, I'm sure. That's a fantastic outcome as well, reviewing that document. It's been sitting there waiting to be done, and I'd like to thank the policy team for undertaking that work. It was tremendous working with them to get that over the line. And in the contractor management space, that's an ongoing procedure. We're working to get everyone still in the right place. And as a secondary to that, we have conversations happening within our teams around emergency management and how we deal with contractors in that time frame. So we're the liners between the EOC and MDC, getting business as usual back up and running, and this has been proactively managed by the roading team, and they're utilising the site-wise platform to get especially members of the community through that as rural providers of works in emergency times. So some really exciting stuff happening in the health and safety space, and I'm just going to duck and hide if you have any questions.
Okay, so I've got Sliver, David, and Marama.
Just one very simple question. Just within your health and safety committee, I presume you've got assigned official health and safety reps that have gone through the health and safety rep external training?
We are just working through that training at the moment. Some have undertaken the reps training and some will be put through the process.
With the contractors, I'm referring to Higgins, this traffic management is driving me nuts, driving probably everybody nuts. The health and regulation seems to be completely over the top with this. Who sets the rules? I know there's criteria that get set by legislation, different things. Is it adhered to by, do the Higgins have their own, or do you, as a district council, provided it as an employee? Could you just give me some update? Because I just think, I saw a job the other day, there was 12 traffic management people and about 4 actual Higgins people actually doing the work. Like, to me, it's just over the top. It's costing us a lot of money.
I'll pass that. Phil looks excited to answer this one.
It's like a system in NZTA has set the criteria. Higgins employ traffic management experts who've done the training, and we work under the standards that are set by central government.
Okay, right. So we've got to go to the top to change it a little bit.
These are not our regulations. We work on the road corridor. We have to meet the health and safety regulations.
Just over.
Stipulated.
Fair enough, thank you.
All right, I've got Marama and then I've got
Fiona, thank you for your report. With the Health and Safety Committee, do they come from across the organisation? You've got someone from each department?
That was put out for people in ourselves up for election, and is a decent spread across the organisation. does now fall mainly under our assets and operations, which is obviously a high-risk area, as well as our customer service ELT member, also another high-risk area, but we do have a good spread across the library and the business units.
And could you just tell me how many people are on there?
It's a committee of 7, and then the chair, secretary, and visiting CE.
Thank you.
The CE is ex officio, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think with that though, I'm keen to make sure that the committee can speak free and frank, and for me to be on the committee, sometimes people don't want to say much, so therefore my view is I'll turn up and have a listen and then head off afterwards. The best way of doing it. It just, at the moment they're scheduled on Wednesdays, which don't work with the council, so we're looking to potentially change it to another day so I can attend.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Cam.
Thank you. First of all, Kane, I like the way you go through the report as well, because that answers lots of questions that I might have asked otherwise when you do your summary. Just a second one, or a question, with the negative behaviours towards staff, do you, and that's horror, I hate it, but when they happen, this is probably for you as well, Ben, do you look back and to see why they actually happened and reflect upon that? Like, the reactions are obviously completely out of proportion, but in their own minds they justify why people do these things. Is it sort of a process to go back and look to why they happened in the first place?
We do give in the reporting process, there is opportunity to outline information around the event.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, people are known within the community, and there are underlying factors that will cause issue. And it being in our public spaces, generally it's around frustrations and that sort of thing. We can't sort of pin down why, but they will find us an easy target.
Would you do any trespass notices?
I don't have that information on how many trespass notices we have issued.
We do issue trespass notices, but it's pretty irregularly. How many have we done in the last 12 months, do you reckon?
In the last 12 months, probably one if we're lucky. So they are always a position of last resort. Only the CE can actually sign off on a trespass. And because, and the Ombudsman has been weighed into this conversation nationally, because council areas are public areas, the threshold for trespassing somebody from that public area is viewed as quite different from somebody trespassing from private property. So we're very conscious of that and think and work through all other options before ending up in that position.
Your first question around the analysis of incidents, this is what's really exciting about the new technology we're implementing, is it's going to have a lot more ability to do learning events post incidents. But at the moment we're restricted by our systems to be able to follow up and report on what's happened over the last 12 months. So this is going to be, it's a really exciting change for us, because it'll hold our managers and our health and safety and ELT to make sure we follow up on things. So it's going to be great.
Lots of exciting things happening in health and safety, eh?
Yeah, it is. It's cool.
Right. Thank you.
Have you ever had, have we ever had instances where you had to have a lockdown or something like that?
We have none in record at the moment, but putting a process in place allows us to keep prepared.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, so I've got a couple. On page 7, we talk about, and I'm really pleased to see you actually going out and visiting your contractors. Probably more of a question or more of a statement than a question, sorry, Ben. Can we actually get a summary of, and I don't want to detail, a summary of the number of visits that you've actually done in a quarter and the number of compliant and non-compliant?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, when we went out and did the recent audit, we took our new tool with us, which is mobile friendly, so we recorded our audit as we were taking the audit. So now that we've got it digitally, we'll be able to report in our next audit risk report.
I think that's really important for us to actually understand, right? Because that keeps me away. We are responsible for the contract, and we need to actually have evidence of that. And I just wonder that on page, where's the next one? We've got lead indicators, right? On page 12, the report. I wonder if that might be a lead indicator. The number of actually audits you're actually completing might be a good lead indicator.
Yeah, the other opportunity as well is our, obviously it's not just Kane and the EL team in doing audits, our roading team.
Yep, it's anybody who's doing it.
Yep.
They are undertaking them at the moment, but the information's not live.
Yep.
Yeah, so just to add to that, Chair, we did this at Wellington City Council on the executive team, where every executive member had to do, I think, 4 health and safety observations per year of different departments.
Oh, wow.
So, if you were in charge of infrastructure, you would go into the community services area, or you might end up visiting a playground or whatever it might be. So, they're very useful and a really good sort of process to ensure that we know what's happening out there in the field. So,
I don't want to know. I just want that high level, not all the detail, but just that high level. All right, thank you for that, Kane. Any other? Now, no one's talked about the policy, so they've all read it and comfortable that we adopted.
I was
Happy with it? No? Sorry?
I read every word.
Read every word. Excellent. Right, so therefore, I'm going to take the opportunity then, actually, are you happy to move the recommendation?
I'll move that.
All right, do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Craig. Any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you very much, Kane and Ian. All right, now, just to change the agenda slightly again, I understand we've got, no, you're not. No, sorry to get you all excited. We've actually now got Karen Young waiting in the waiting room, our auditor. So we've got the audit report for the year ended 30th of June 2023 on page 106. We could go to that, and then we'll hopefully count. We'll still look at the minutes yet, okay? I haven't forgotten Harriet. All right. We're beaming you in, Harriet. David, while Karen's finding your way through space, do you want to just quickly introduce the report?
Can do. What's the page number?
106.
106. Thank you.
Can you hear us, Karen? You probably can't see us at the moment.
is the camera on?
David? Oh, here she is.
Do I need to get that?
There she is. Karen, welcome. Can you hear us all right?
We can't hear you.
Oh, look, we can't hear you. I still can't hear you. $106.
Thank you.
Try again, Karen.
Can you hear us, Karen?
It's hot.
No. Right, try again. No.
Can you hear me now?
can you hear us? No, we've lost you again.
Sound like you Can you hear me?
Let's try that again now.
Never happened with you,
Yep.
No, I don't know what's happening, sorry.
Yeah, I think people on here.
Dave, right.
Is anyone logged in?
Is anyone what? People hurry.
Screeching.
So I'm not done it yet. I'm not on to it.
Harriet's having to do it with Claire.
Yeah, I know. That's one out of
First couple.
Right. Unless we do the minutes, oh no, we need Harry to do the minutes, do we? Let's adjourn for 5 minutes. Quick, grab some water. Okay, all right, thank you. We've got a large representative team here from Nuku'ora. Thank you for coming in. We'll just put Karen, for our auditor, on hold. It's not often you get to do that. All right, so now my computer's gone to sleep. We've got your, come up, you want to do your presentation, sorry Pete, we'll reconvene. And we're back to item 6.3 on page 43, which, okay, onwards. Kia ora, welcome.
Kia ora, ko tēnei takimuki, tēnā takimuki tēnā o te te roki nei. Ko Michelle Hayward Takungoa, I'm the General Manager of Partnerships at Nuku'ora, and really keen to introduce you to the team, Michael Sherwood at Team Delivery, AJ, who's well known here, Antonia Thompson, who previously worked for NBC, Lily Joyner, who works in our Spaces and Places area, and AJ the second, who also previously worked at NBC, so, and Andrea Jackson. So I'm going to do a bit of a high-level summary of the report, really quick, and then any questions the team will help me with. So thank you very much for the small contribution that you make towards the mahi that we deliver in the Wairarapa. It's small in amount, but actually provides us with the mandate to be in the Wairarapa that none of our other contracts do. So it brings our team here more regularly than would otherwise happen. The report is long, and I think that's a real reflection of the fact that it's based on a partner plan that has existed for 8 years. And we're looking forward to working with Corin to refine that in the future and make sure that the reporting and the mahi is really targeted to the expectations of the DLTP. Some of the highlights, the knowledge that we get from having people working on the ground in this area means that we were able to distribute $120,000 of Sport New Zealand money to projects and initiatives happening in the community. So kia ha kina, a marae-based kaupapa as well, so kia ha kina into schools through Wairarapa, into marae and then into my secondary school sport, where the largest barrier they were seeing to being involved was through transport. So it's a lot around transport costs for them to participate in activities. In the Spaces and Places area, council representatives join with their counterparts across the region, and they have worked together to come up with 2 regional plans. Now that big regional decision making of mahi is happening, Lucy and Matt and the wider team are working on how that work can be more responsive to local communities, both in the 3 council areas in the Wairarapa and the 5 others in the Wellington region. That work speaks to both sport and recreation, as well as play, events and that wider mahi. We've also been working hard to deliver on capability and capacity building mahi over in the site in the last 6 months. So we've done some governance workshops, which while held in Featherston, saw people from across the region head to, and then the delay in recruitment that we've seen through both our recruitment of AJ, but also in the regional sport director space held by the secondary school principals, saw the delay of the coaching workshop for rangatahi, and we're working on getting that back up and running in this next 6 months. The final thing I'll touch on is the delivery of healthy active learning into 11 contracted schools in the Wairarapa region. The vast majority are in Masterton, and that is a cross-government initiative working with health, education and sport around quality PE, but also connection of sporting and active recreation and play opportunities in the community and led by community groups, further supporting us to deliver funding into the region as well as ongoing support. Finally, I'd just like to reiterate our thanks for the criteria that you provide and acknowledge that we're really looking forward to getting part of that long-term planning process with both officers and in the official capacity in the future. Questions?
All right, thank you. Now, questions, probably not so much on the going forward, but on the looking back would be appreciated. Thank you. Councillor Tim?
Thank you, I've just got a few. Just at the beginning, do other councils not contribute towards the water?
So, in this region, in the wider Wellington region, we have money through LTP or operational processes from Wellington City Council, Hutt City Council and Masterton District Council. We have a couple of small grants from South Wairarapa and Carterton, which are more on a year-to-year depending on an activation in the community process. But the larger kaupapa that comes into the space would actually come from Sport New Zealand or Ministry of Health.
Just a couple more. With on page 55, there's a section on barriers to stop people from getting involved in health and fitness. And then on page 60, there's a spreadsheet of a mention of a spreadsheet with different ways in which people can. So is there like an outreach program to people who aren't getting involved, like there is in, I mentioned it, maybe not to you guys, but in Otaki, where that facility up there goes out into the community and brings people in who they know need that support? Or are we just at the stage where there's just the information that people can access themselves?
So, Nuku Ora, we provide that information to providers in the region, whether that is council, so we don't usually see any kind of some play events. There are different kaupapa that happen, so AJ is predominantly based down in Featherstone, where it's local events, so the community, and we support into that space. So we don't actually do a lot of the delivery of those events.
The only part of the space which reminds us is in the GRX, so we work with individuals within the green prescription program. We work with individuals who've got health concerns, and we connect them with physical activity or nutrition support within their local communities. We support them through that process. It's a one-to-one basis.
Thank you. And just a couple more. With Kia Akinakina, does that funding come through the order to schools?
That goes straight to District Wellington, and then they engage with the schools through their kaupapa. So they
That's an awesome program. And just finally, what's the link between the Order and On Board for Skate Board?
So same, we fund them through Te Manawa Active Aotearoa, but we also work with them around the engagement in the skate park and the market there, and we have done some work around the youth development aspect of the skate park.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, hi. Welcome to our ex-council leaders. Nice to see you back.
Yes.
Two questions. One is just to clarify, the Hakinakina program is also supported by local trust money, isn't it?
Yes, although Simon has indicated that that has been declining for him, and so he's working really hard around what that can look like in the future. He's finding one.
And my next question is, how many local staff do you have here on the ground?
Yeah, so we have one person in the green prescription team, usually based here. We're recruiting for that at the moment as Kirawai moved over to the regional sports director role. We have AJ who is here permanently, and then Antonia's here permanently as well, however she's predominantly funded through a council audit contract.
And what's AJ's role with you?
Our partnership manager, Wairarapa.
Thank you.
If I could just share, also there's a lot of collaboration coming from over the hill, so I've been with Nuku Ora for 4 weeks now, and in those 4 weeks I've probably had another 3 staff each week coming over to deliver particular areas, whether it's Darren with Active School, so we may not have FTEs, but we certainly have our staff coming over with real intention. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Craig.
Thank you for your report, and I just want to follow on a little bit from Tim with the level of funding. I see your report is very generic as to encompassing the entire Wairarapa. I think maybe for myself, maybe next time around we can have something that's more specific to Masterton district.
Thank you.
Joe.
Joe, thank you, Joe.
I'm interested in the Kaimātua down the South Wairarapa. What about around the city?
So it began with, from the need and from the conversations with community and with community groups, the need for South Wairarapa as they are very isolated. However, moving forward, there is opportunity to then bring similar with the others that we are working with in collaboration up to Masterton, but working around also bringing South Wairarapa up as well, so it's for everyone. So that is definitely something that we're looking for the next 6 months to be able to do in Masterton itself.
Thank you. Councillor Bates.
Just one more question. The funding that PBC applies to Nuku Ora, does that go towards any specific program, or is it more towards operational?
So we have a partner plan, which is what Corinne and I engage with, and we will deliver on. There's also which is what the report is to, and has historically been to. There's a funding agreement which funds the spaces and places work that all of the councils and regions contribute to. And So a lot of that money sits in living space where we provide some reports and 6 weekly, 2 monthly meetings where they all come together and discuss the initiatives that they want to see as a region around facilities, provision, access.
Thank you. Councillor Tapp.
Just one more follow up on things.
Promise?
Yeah, I promise. I'll just finish my body. With the funding from other councils, has there been a drop off? Like, it's just, I think you said Wellington, can't remember the other one, but up to very contestable funding? That's what you said?
Yes. So,
were they previously in the past doing what we were doing?
No. So those are our three major councils that contribute funding, and the level of service fund is reflected in there. What happened last LTP is we went to all councils asking for money, and South Hawaii and Carlton indicated that for the level of money that we were asking from them, that bespoke application process was needed.
Thank you for the report. Do you have the capacity to work with disability groups?
Yes, we do. So where we can need, we find it, but at a regional level, we work with Export, we work with Halberg Foundation, we work with Wine, London Low Vision, New Zealand, so we do work with a range of organisations in that space. We're also part of Sport New Zealand's Disability Network nationally, where that brings us good insights to bring into the community around both inclusion and specific disability opportunities. We fund quite a lot of disability work in Rangatahi, particularly secondary schools, where it might be autism or it could be a physical disability.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you, team. Nice to see you again, AJ.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Right, so we go back to the agenda on page 37. Sorry? Sorry?
The recommendations.
That's what I was going to say. Yep. Page 37. Yep. Can we remove the recommendations? Yep. Do I remove it? So the recommendations. Thank you, Councillor Craig. Seconded. Councillor Goodwin. Thank you. Right. Any discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. I think we're still having difficulty with Karen. Not with Karen personally, but thank you, team.
Thank you.
Right, so we go back to the agenda, and we'll go back to 6.1, page 19. The minutes held 15th of November, taken as read. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, David. That is seconder. Thank you, Craig. All those in favour, please say aye. Is against carried. Do we all do the non-financials? Yes. Payments read. Yes. Page 70, item 6.4, so I was catching up myself. Right. So Tanya, the floor is yours. Take your report as read, key highlights.
Okay, I can
take
it
it
as read, but I will highlight a couple of things. So this is the quarter 2 financial report, so that's through till 31st of December from 1 July last year. Overall, results are tracking above where we were at the same point last year. So just under 80% of our results are on track to be achieved, compared to about 70% this time last year. Page 72 notes some highlights. That includes some improvements, particularly in the water space compared to the last period. Fewer complaints. We've only had one water loop that needed to be provided, no flooding reported, and no urgent call-outs for water. There's also been improvements in our regulatory space just as far as consent processing times, and we're now looking to be on track to achieve this with inspections and short term. Happy to take
Okay, thank you. For everything. Any questions? Councillor Tim?
First of all, that's awesome about the water call-outs. For the one that did happen, that needs water alert, so that can be addressed straight away, and the follow-up can also be done straight away to ensure that that's the big payment program.
Just defer to the operational manager to respond.
I think that's the case, Councillor. Yes.
It's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Sky.
I too also want to commend staff on the results around the Waterloo issues that we've in the past. It's amazing. But one question I do have is, with these swimming pool assessments, I do read in the public domain of social media that a lot of people, the inspectors just turn up, there's no forewarning or there's no, I guess warning that they're coming. So what's the actual process around that? So, you know, what notifications they get, if any, and also around the fee as well that you charge up, because there's a lot of uncertainty out there about that.
Building manager can answer the question.
Yep, so it is true that we are just working progressively through the entire amount of force that we have registered. So MB kind of brought it to our attention a couple of years ago that we need to get on with that work and just do it. So the decision was made a couple of years ago not to pre-contact owners, but actually just start the process and go through that process. We nearly completed that first round, but for the second round we now have, through that process, we've collected everybody's details that we can, and we'll be notifying them ahead of the next inspection as we go through that process.
And just around the fee, how's that sort of notified to these people?
I think when they're on site, the guys will actually notify them, but yeah, it's probably a surprise to building owners when they turn up and say, yes, there is a fee for this work that we do.
So maybe we can look at working around that somehow with that comms, just around making people aware that if you do own a pool, you will get issued an invoice to pay, because I think the feedback I get from many is that they are aware.
We have been quite regularly promoting it through the monthly wrap and quarterly ads occasionally in the newspaper, so it's been fairly well advertised online. But we can keep banging on about it.
Thank you.
Councillor Melvin and then Councillor Beats.
Through you, Tanya, congratulations on the report. I'd like to ask Phil, if I may, the one quarter load that you need to do, is that because they have got town hall?
I believe that was purely sort of preemptive and actually wasn't used in practice, but it was preemptive. As we were going through the installation process, we did one.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Beats.
Surely if you're going to notify that you're going to do pool inspections, you can notify at the same stage of this cost.
Yep, so on the current program, we haven't been contacting.
No, but you said in the future you will.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, because I think you should say we're coming to inspect the pool and the cost is.
Yep, that is the plan going forward.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Again, just for clarification, that there wouldn't be a comms around campaigns to talk people about. Just tell them about it.
That's what Beats just said.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. It sounded too good to put.
Even though we're coming, they can argue the problem.
Yeah.
Argue the problem.
Yeah. Right. Air conditioning is working because I was having difficulty hearing people with the noise behind me. It's in competition. Right. Any other questions? Thank you for the report. I like the improvement compared with last year, but of course you have all the event last year as well. So it's beyond your control. Right. So we've got a recommendation. Sorry?
Weather event.
Weather event.
Oh, you mean the rain?
Sorry?
That was right. You mean the rain? That was
Yeah, sure. Thank you. No simplification. Page 71, we've got a recommendation. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor David. Seconded. Oh, thank you, Councillor Betts. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Right. Now, is Karen good to go? Take your no. Can we try again? Can we? Oh, we still can't hear you, sorry. We can hear you. And unfortunately, we can't lip read. We might have to just get you to call us, Karen. Okay.
Can you call David's number?
Call David, thank you. So we're on page 100, back to page 106, item 6.7. Good speaker here.
Do we need to allocate some money to technology?
There might be some challenging problems.
Teams trying to work in the other systems.
Okay, all right.
Karen, are you on mute?
No, here we go. No, we're good. It's worked.
Okay, Karen's here.
Can you? Oh, is that as high as you go?
Yeah. Talk to us, Karen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, as long as Tim. Right. Okay. Floor's yours.
Okay. Are we talking about the management report from the audit last year?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
We are.
Okay, I will take a report of there. So, I think overall, council we found one, we have effective management control environment. The areas of focus were post-op well, with no findings or recommendations to report in those areas. We had one new recommendation around water loss. That recommendation is to better comply with the intention of the guidance around how to measure water loss. So the council achieves water loss based on a single point in time, whereas the requirement is that an average should be used.
Okay.
We were able to work with council to get around the issue for the 2023 annual report by asking the council to make extensive disclosure around how it measures water loss, so people understand and have that context when reading the water loss percentage. Our recommendation is that council comply with the guidance more fully and measure water loss in the way that it was intended.
Okay. Anything else, Karen?
But there is a management comment included in the report. Sorry, Karen. Just that we've recognised the methodology that you're recommending, and we'll use it in the next annual report period.
Thank you, David. That sounds very satisfactory. There are also in the back of that management report, we just set out progress against previous recommendations. We acknowledge that on many of these the council are progressing and have faced some challenges during the year with both workload and resourcing being the main reason why they could not be fully addressed.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Councillor Goodwin?
Just wondering that change in measure of water loss, which says 2% or something at the moment, do you expect that to go up or down?
measure the methodology and then we will. We'll use the methodology and then we will know.
We would expect and we would aim for it to go down.
Yes, ideally.
We'll see which way it goes.
Right. Any other questions? No. Simple. Well done, Karen and David. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, just a question on that water loss. So, you're confident, David and Phil, in the current role, that we won't have this issue for this coming annual report? You will, in fact, do it sufficiently because you would have only notified it in the time you discovered the issue?
Yes, but an average indicates that there's a number of readings taken over a period of time, and the average number of all of those readings is what we report against. So the
data's there.
The data's there in terms of the flow of water into the system, and the measurement of water loss in the system when they do readings in the middle of the night to see what's moving in the pipes, the extent of the movement in the pipes, and we'll measure that a number of times over the course of the current year. And I understand we have been doing those measurements.
We have been doing those since we were.
Okay, all right. So I expect that item to be not in next year's management letter, all right? It's being resolved, sorry. All right? Yep. And you're confident it can be resolved as well, thanks Karen? And you agree it can be resolved, what will only appear as a resolved item for in next year's management letter?
I agree that it definitely can be resolved for the reasons David just outlined, because I do think a single measurement may not be representative of your water loss, which is why an average needs to be used, which is basically a figure.
Okay, thank you. All right, no further questions? Oh, Councillor?
Well, and I presume if the measurement process is only recently started, it will be, if it goes up till the end of June, you'll have summer and winter and autumn, and so it'll be...
It's loss from network, not use of water in the network, because we do have the usage figures as well. We're measuring loss.
Okay.
Yes. This is loss due to, for example, leaky pipe. Yeah. Because water loss measures the issues with the reticulation system. So losing water to leaky pipes is not a good thing, because potable water takes long. A lot of resources are applied to ensure the water is, drinkable, potable. So any leak is not a good thing. That's why the measure is so important.
Thank you. Councillor David?
Mr Chair, I'm rather confused because when I drive around town, and I'm sure everybody's the same, we don't see the water running down the gutters. If you go to Wellington, their percentage of loss is well over 40%. It actually flowing down the streets and the gutters. We don't see that here. We see bubbles occasionally, which the guys get onto pretty quickly. So is it coming from, is the problem between Kaituna and outside Masterton, is that one of the problems? Like, it just doesn't seem right to me, it doesn't stack up.
So I guess, Mr Chairman, all systems leaks.
Yeah, I realise that.
But so this could be leaks from our pipes, but it could also be leaks on private property.
Yeah.
People with dripping taps.
Dripping taps. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So we've got a recommendation on, no further questions, we've got a recommendation that we received this report on page 106. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Bex. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Maribor. Any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you, Karen, for tolerating our IT problems. Thank you for your patience with us. We'll try and make sure when we Zoom, maybe you should come and see us, and then you can see the wonderful Masterton weather we're putting on. I know you've been busy with other councils today, but thank you again for your indulgence with our IT problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure. In fact, I will be travelling to Masterton soon to audit your long-term plan.
Thank you.
The first part of the CD. And also I'm now Carterton and South Wairakei Watertown as well, newly minted. So I will surely see more of everyone in the district.
Yes. Unfortunately, you might see a bit more of me as well. Sorry about that. Right, okay. Thank you for that. We've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favour, please say aye. Because it gets carried. Policies, page 93, I think. That's where I'm up to. Welcome, Stephanie.
I'll just take you through a couple of the quick highlights of this report. So we last reported an update to you in August. Since that time we have completed the review of 3 policies, at the end the asset management policies, the classification policy, and the health and safety policy that was just presented for enforcement earlier today. So we now only have 2 policies that are monitored by this committee that are overdue for review, and we have plans in place to address those with the intention to bring those back to this committee for enforcement in your May next meeting. So rather than that work program.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Any questions? Councillor Tim?
Just with the 2 policies that are the sensitive expenditure policy and the workplace health and safety and staff wellbeing policy, the fraud dishonesty policy, why are they last? Why have they just got a priority, or the other old policies just able to roll over without any action being taken?
I don't think it's a matter of priority. It's probably been their review date came up to be due, would be my understanding. They have been programmed. I'm not aware of.
It was 3 years ago they were up for review, so the other ones must have been even more overdue than those ones.
Potentially. I can't confirm that, but
Sounds like we haven't got a staff member in there. I think maybe that's the issue.
Maybe it's a simple process. Like, can you take a policy like that one, for example, if it's still working, because it must be, because it's a policy we adhere to, then can't it just come to council, for example, with some guidance and advice, and we could just ratify the policy? I mean, if it's still working, it's still working.
there is updated guidance that we need. So for sensitive extension, there's been a new guide from the Auditor General since it was last reviewed. So we will be taking a look through that and making sure that we are still in alignment with that, as well as some recommendations that have come through from audit previously around our practices there. So there is a little bit of work that's a little bit more involved in most of the processes to make sure that we are compliant and they are compliant with their best practice and we're up to date on our processes with them.
So with something like new legislation, if new legislation comes in, is it super complex? Is that why it's so hard to do? I mean, if something's 3 years overdue, it must be really hard to do.
I wouldn't say it's super complex, I would say it's probably a matter of resourcing and priority.
So if it's not complex, it shouldn't cost a lot of money to go through the process.
Thanks, Karen.
Yes, it has simply been a matter of programming all of the work that we need to do across the policy and strategy work with the amount of people we've got to do it. And we haven't had sufficient resources to do it. It doesn't necessarily mean that the work is complicated, but it takes some dedicated resource to actually have a look at the policy, determine what the policy context is, if there have been any legislative changes, if there's any best practice we'd like to pick up on, and respond to the auditor. So we program these in terms of how we understand the priority to be, and this has unfortunately not been one of the highest of the priority or pieces of work that we've had to do. We compete with other regulatory policies, of course, and bylaws that we have considered to be a higher priority alongside all of the rest of our best practice operational policies. So it's just a matter of programming, and we've responded as best we can with the resources we have up to now.
Would that be, just a follow-up question, would that be unusual for a fraud, dishonesty and corruption control policy to be 3 years overdue in another council? I suppose that's a question for Philip.
No, not at all. Right? To me, that is, okay, let's just go talk about them, right? No, about them, right? So fraud, dishonesty and corruption policy, probably not a lot of significant change required. There's some terminologies and probably some better practice out there. So probably the time there's a quick scan, so it's 90% there, so it's okay at the moment. If it was a high priority, certainly Audit New Zealand would have looked at it and said, look, your fraud policy is no longer really compliant, we need to bring it up to standard. And the same with sensitive expenditure. I know the Office of the Auditor General issued since 2001 some more guidance on that. So again, probably they advertised, well knowing that they were doing that review, so maybe we just put on hold, I can't remember the reason, right? While they did their best practice, it's no use. I have seen the Council adopt a sensitive expenditure policy in 21 before the OAG adopted their guidance, and then they got a management letter the next year for it not being up to date with the new requirements of OAG, and it's about 4 sentences which were wrong. So to me, they're not legal requirements. The only issue, maybe I can, right? Fraud, dishonesty, if there was a fraud, sometimes people can actually use that policy as a form of defence. I didn't know it was a fraud, right? But that's, no? So hopefully in the internal control, that's another issue. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, just almost. So just to clarify, if there was an issue with our fraud policy, someone would let us know. Okay, so because there's not, we wouldn't have to, because there was another policy, I think I'm right, because we're going to spend $50,000 on reviewing it. We should be looking at.
And that was a strategy.
Strategy.
And it was implementing the strategy, not reviewing the strategy.
Implementing the strategy.
Councillor Goodwin.
But I do seek a bit of clarification from you guys, and that we did discuss, there was a raft of workshops of strategies and policies, not these obligatory ones. And my recollection of the conversation is that we didn't want staff to add to those. We wanted them to come to us, and we wanted something to be added to with us, because we would rather you concentrate your resource on the important stuff, and much of the other stuff we don't necessarily see as so important.
So there's two things there. This was included within that presentation because we included all of the policies and strategies that we have within that presentation.
This was the top of this. I was talking about all the rest.
And all the rest we talked about, Councillor, that the vast majority of those policies and strategies are either regulatory required, or they have been they are a response to a provision that says you can have a policy or a plan in this particular area, and previous councils have decided to have that, so we have these in train. And then we have internal policies that provide the CE the ability to actually manage the organisation appropriately. So they're internal focus ones, and there are only a small number of policies that are what we call customer-facing policies, which are those ones that we bring to council to say, do we have a policy in this particular area, for example, or a strategy on arts, culture and heritage? We previously had those, and those are the ones that we can bring back to the council, say, do you want to continue these? And if not, what do we need to do to take these effectively off our books? But they're only a small number of the ones that we need, either regulatory or to actually do our business.
Well, yeah, it did come up in that conversation, quite a few of them, because previous councils have done, we would like the first look at these, well, this is my recollection, of whether we want to continue it and where we go from there, just to manage the staff resource to help.
I think that's probably a debate for another forum. I think the issue is this committee's got responsibility as per the recommendation for those policies. What we're doing is we're confirming that we're noting that these ones are, and we're also noting the update on those policies. So that's the issue that's put before the committee. Is the committee comfortable that at our next meeting, in no pressure, Stephanie and your team, or Karen and your team, that we'll be looking at the fraud, dishonesty and corruption and control policy at our next meeting, as well as the sensitive expenditure policy. That's basically what you're asking us to do, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I'm happy to, any further questions? I'm happy to move the recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Stella. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
It's carried. Our next item is 6.6, page 98, LTP update.
Hello again.
Yeah, we've kept you up there, couldn't we?
So this report just provides an update on the LTP work program that we've been obviously working on for the last 18 months or so. We've obviously a little bit of an update on those priority areas that this council agreed as part of the scope for this LTP, which is revenue and finance policy, and that's on track to be adopted very shortly. The level of service review. So we've just identified on page 100 some of the reviews that have come out of those conversations, and that will be programmed through the LTP. And there's also on page 100 some priority areas that were identified through our asset management plans. Page 101 covered off the policy reviews that are associated with an LTP work program. They're all on track at the moment to come through or have been adopted already. And then on page 102 just provides some updates on a range of other work that is all part of the jigsaw puzzle, AMPS, assumptions, infrastructure, financial strategies. In particular, will be coming to you for adoption as supporting information for audit review on March. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Madigan?
On page 105, that says the communication engagement plan will identify opportunities that we have and that I have to contribute to the decision making of the LTP. I wondered if there's been consultation on the remission or of the
rates remission.
Rates remission.
Modelling. That policy is one we're just reviewing at the moment, and we will be working with Leanne to reach out to iwi. We'll be adopting it as a draft for consultation, so there will be opportunities for any interested parties to provide feedback through that process.
Councillor Stella and then Councillor Goodwin.
I just want confirmation, I'm sure it is correct, which I find astounding. So it's $100,000 to audit the long-term plan.
It's cheap.
Yes, they still haven't given us an agreement to sign, and they call it a engagement letter. But the indication is a 20% uplift from the previous LTP audit.
And do we choose who we go to, or is it a given that this is who we have to go?
Audit New Zealand Council's auditors is Toy
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've just got a question on the, nice dress by the way. I've just got a question on the same paragraph, which is budget provisions across asset and corporate departments of council total some 270k. Can you just explain to me what that's relating to? Is that also marketing, the consultation document, what's incorporated?
Refer that one to David.
What's incorporated in there?
The consultation, so the production of the document and the publishing of the document in all forms, online and in hard copy, the material that is available to
anyone who wants to see it. So at public consultation meetings, and the advertising and promotion. It also incorporates the audit fee.
Oh, it does?
Yes, at
Okay.
85,000 was the budget audit fee. It's going to be closer to 100. And it incorporates the use of additional contractors and consultants like Jenny Mitchell, who helped us with the revenue and financing policy. And we're also having some assistance in writing asset management plans and infrastructure strategy documents and peer reviewing those. There's some peer reviewing of the asset management plans by a group, particularly the roading asset management plan. So within a number of budgets, there's provisions there that are only one-offs every 3 years when we're developing an LTP.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? Sorry, Councillor Goodwin.
Oh, yeah, I see on page 102 that strategy stock take is noted, and I suppose it would be good to get a list of that at some stage, maybe, if we can. And the other thing on the next page, 103, it just mentions the bill forecast. I don't know about you, but what's that information stuff that's due through now?
29th of February is the next release of Infometrics data.
When?
29th of February.
Infometrics is a different set of data than Bill. We use Bill for the inflation forecast. Infometrics is a view back on what's happened in the economy.
I like to look at that.
So on that though, when will you know what your growth figure is that you're going to apply?
At the moment, we've settled on 1.4% growth in the rating base.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
For year one.
Yeah.
And at 1.2 in year two, and then 1% each year. So basically a reasonably conservative, but based on history. We know we've consistently achieved 1% growth in the rating base.
Any other questions? I'll go track for you. On page 98, you're saying the LTP must be adopted by 30th of June. That says of today, isn't it? But not of next week. As of today, the legislation requires you as of today to adopt it by 30th of June. Once the legislation that's part in the House at the moment is passed, you may have a slight extension.
That's not, that won't be applicable for us.
Legislative, no.
On the basis that you need a really good reason for not being prepared, that would be
No, so we still can go to 30th of September.
okay.
Okay, I wasn't advocating go from next year. That's the last thing on my mind. Right, so there is, the government have given the extension for everyone to finish their LTPs by 30th of September without a reason, just being nice. But there is a significant consequences on your rating, Mr. Harris. Right? And then of course, sorry? You don't want to do that, no. But it might give you a little bit of a week's grace if there's problems with audit or something. Right? Right? You could, of course you could. I know of one council that is considering having their LTP deferred for a whole year. We know, I'm sure you know that, but there's more than one. There's at least two others. And that was a surprise to the legislation, but my understanding on the grapevine, there was one particular council that lobbied the minister. A large council. Sorry?
That must have been like,
someone has described it to me, but I won't repeat it. Right. So if you hear that in the grapevine, right? That's what the story is. I wasn't suggesting at all, Mr. Chief Executive. Okay? I dare not. Right?
someone to get browned off.
Sorry?
Someone might get browned off.
Yeah, okay. Right. So any further questions? Recommendations on Page 98, we received the update and we're noting the risks in the report. Right, do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Second, Councillor Stella. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Where are we up to? 6-month report, page 127.
Chair, I won't go and see that front. I'll take the report as read, but highlight the a few items in there. Fees and charges revenue is better than planned, but financial contributions below plan. So they do offset each other in terms of the total revenue received. The roading subsidies and the roading program that we're doing is complicated by the cyclone recovery work. So we're spending large amounts of money on repairing roads, putting in mitigation and resilience improvements to the roads, which is significantly above our normal roading program. And the subsidy on that is higher than normal, and some of it hasn't yet been paid by Waka Kotahi. So that the accounts reflect the subsidy that we expect to get, but there is a receivable figure in our accounts that reflects us not actually having received that subsidy yet. So we spent $7.5 million, I think, year to date on that work, with a budget of $18 million for the whole year, and some of that, our share of that, was to be loan funded. We've drawn down loan to fund our share and some of the Waka Kotahi share until they pay us. Other than that, on track. The overall rates summary, the water and wastewater and solid waste are all showing overspends in terms of year-to-date rates required. So water, there's additional extra work being done in water leak detection and repairing leaking tobies. In the wastewater area, the sewer pumping station at Colombo Road has been completed and switched over, but we ran for probably 6 months longer than expected with leased pumps. So that the pumps that were stationed there were not budgeted to be there for the year. So our operating budget is looking slightly overspent in the first 6 months because of that. And in the solid waste area, volumes coming into the transfer station less than planned, and so we get less revenue, and some of that revenue is there to fund some of the overheads of the facility. So yeah, we're slightly behind our rates required, or we're overspending rates required on that facility because of the lower volumes of waste, which isn't a bad thing. We're trying to reduce waste, but it's counterintuitive when you have to budget for a certain amount. And positively, in the building development area, the revenue is running ahead of plan, and our costs are running below plan. So we have an underspend in that area.
Right.
So, in the I think that's. I can talk about the rates receivable part, but I have questions on all of it. Just in terms of rates, which is on page
133.
133.
Doesn't actually hit a page number on mine.
I've included that the graph, two graphs there. One has trend lines showing from December 20 to December 23, so 3 years, the upswing in that trend line of the December quarter receivables, going from around 800,000 to a little over 1.3 million. It's percentage-wise, that instalments not met, as in the instalments 1 and 2, is 3.6% of the total rates that have been levied at 6 months to date. The trend in previous years has been at 3 to 3.1%. So the increase from 3.1 to 3.6 is what we're seeing, an upswing in the unpaid rates. Again, I think I've said before at this committee, not significant, but it's noticeable that there are more people who have not been able to pay their rates or meet their instalment overdue. We are progressing on the arrears numbers. So on the first graph, it's the red bars. So those arrears have come down significantly in the January and February months. So I'm expecting that to be much improved by the end of March quarter. And that's largely going to mortgagees and asking the banks to pay those arrears, and they are last year's rates that they're paying. And we have good success with that approach, but we also have some people who don't have mortgages, and we have to take legal action with those properties to recover rates if they don't have a mortgage. And we have, I think I've noted it, 7 properties with ongoing legal action.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, David. Councillor Goodwin.
I was a little bit surprised to see the personnel cost sort of sneak on plan slightly there. Usually there's a lag of vacancies, that vacancy lag, I don't know what. Was that, we have no vacancy lag? That's on page 128.
I thought there might have been some congratulations from you, Councillor, on how close we are to budget.
We've had very low staff turnover in recent months, which is good, and so therefore we don't have a lot of vacancies, so we are tracking to plan at the moment, which is a good news story, a success story in fact.
There was a plus to vacancy lags, but that's a different matter.
Right, thank you. Councillor Tim and Councillor Madeline.
Thank you. David, is there a main reason why people aren't paying their rates? That it's repetitive, or is it all sorts of different things?
I can't give you an answer to that. The next quarter we'll do some analysis of the types of property and whether they are the higher value properties, the lower value rural versus beach versus lifestyle. Those are sort of categories that we can look at to see if there's a trend in any one of those with increased arrears. But at the moment, I don't have that information at my fingertips.
Could one of the things we look at be, is it people in fixed term incomes that aren't going up? Is that something
we don't have their income information. We only have the value of their house or their property, and they're the property owner. So people in rental accommodation, it's not our issue. It's the homeowners, and we don't have the income information as owners, so we can only say you're in the lower quartile value property, you're in the middle, you're in the upper, and so we make an assessment of the value of their property, not their income.
Oh, so there's no way of doing an assessment of someone with a house that's worth $800,000 on Poundale Street, but it's on a fixed income, but when their rates go up, we can't tell if they're the people who are.
No, we don't have income information.
You said that what good time they promised us some money on him to work. We've had to loan fund it. For anything like that, are we able to ask them for any interest that they've paid?
We can ask. I'm not sure about that actually, but
Just be pleased to receive what's owed.
yeah.
I don't just mean with him, but, you know, any workplace says they're going to give us money.
Yeah.
Oh, ratepayers get charged quite a good interest, it's fair rate.
It
doesn't go the other way.
Just on that though, have you had any more correspondence?
I believe they're meeting this week, so,
Councillor David?
At a rural support meeting the other day, Simon was there. It's very apparent that the pressure's really coming on the rural community at the moment with lack of income, just even interest rates. I just had a ring at lunchtime, and this person's interest bill has gone from 90 grand to 220,000. He's in quite a big way. But if you relate it to the size of most properties, it's horrendous. And I would say that our concerns about arrears and rates at the moment today are nothing to what they might be in 6 months' time.
Question, councillor?
Sorry, I'll make a statement. But the question is, how are we going to handle it when we get droves of people coming in? That's the question.
I've got a more fundamental question. Anyway, carry on. Right, any other questions, comments? Mr. Paris, we talked about you saying it's gone from 3.1 to 3.6% of, so that's half.
That's the last graph.
The last graph, yep, as percentage of total rates.
Of rates levy, current rates levy, that's the current instalments as a percentage of current rates.
Yep. So are you expecting an increase in bad debt provision in due course?
No.
No? And why not?
Because rates are always collectible. Writing off rates is not something councils do because we can collect those rates by enforcing the Local Government Rating Act. We can sell properties if the rates are not paid. So the process to get to that point involves legal steps, and usually there's somebody comes to the party to help out, or they find somebody who can help them with the rates payment, and we haven't ever put somebody on the streets. But they do realise that they can't avoid paying rates. It's a requirement of owning a property.
And I suppose that puts an obligation on us to be very, especially diligent about how much we charge them.
Always.
Delivering value for money for services, as well as the benefit to the whole district, because rates are not just about services.
Right, thank you for the statements. Right. With any further discussion? No. Right, so we've got a recommendation on page 127. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor David. Secondly, thank you, Councillor Betts. Any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. It's carried. Last item on the public agenda is our better of funding on page 135, item 6.9. Your name.
Do you have a question about it, or can I
introduce it?
We'll let you introduce it first.
Let him introduce it. You might answer your question. It might be sorry.
It's got my name against it, but Tanya over there has written some of this, and the upshot is that we've spent $2 million, $1.8 million at December of the 3.88 that we were allocated from the original tranche. So there was a change process where we had some funding reallocated, and some of the project items have until June 2027 to be delivered, and so that we don't intend to go back to the government to ask for any reallocation, because the potential for a project to be cancelled is there. We're fully expecting the 3.88 million to remain available and to be spent over the timeframes which we originally indicated. But the progress is different for each project. The targeted wastewater renewals, you'll see we spent 1.35 million by December, and we're looking to spend the balance through to June 25. So this year and next financial year, we have some of that budget included in our CapEx program in the year one of the Autumn Plan.
My question's been answered.
Thank
So
you.
is mine.
Thank you. Right. Okay. Councillor Chubb.
My question is, do you know how angry it makes me to see this unallocated money, or money that's been allocated on projects that have never even started, when the only thing that met all criteria when that money came out, the 3 criteria that were given, was around the water, the targeted water renewals. I just find it simply astounding to be looking at this. Planting for biodiversity, no funding has been claimed. Pukaha, they got their 335,000. Climate change activator, 59,000 has been claimed. Mana Whenua Partnership Climate Resilience Projects, 300,000. No funding has been claimed. I just find it abhorrent. We had a great need at the time, and I tried to put that motion through, and I'm not grandstanding here at all, but I'm so disappointed to see that we didn't put that money where it should have gone. Even if there are future plans for these, we talk about resourcing and council staff and all that sort of thing. Obviously, these other projects are just going to put more pressure on staff. We could have put all that money in that particular area, and I'm incredibly disappointed that wasn't done at the time.
That sounds like a very craftedly worded question. Do you know how angry I am?
Yeah, that's why it's not crafty, Philip, it's just disappointing.
Yeah, and I think...
And upsetting.
Just to respond, that the provision was for a 3-year delivery programme, so they may not have started yet, but we've taken that into account, that it is a 3-year delivery programme, and that's why we have prioritised other work, particularly in LTP year, to get us through this period. So I understand your concerns and your feelings, Councillor, but we have taken that 3-year ability into account as we go through our work programme.
And it was also, I would say, it's a council decision.
Yeah, it was voted
After consultation.
We didn't all agree,
No?
did we?
And my question, right, to the Chief Executive, right? Are you confident, Mr. Chief Executive, you will spend the remainder of the funds in the required time? And by the sound of the report looks like. Sorry?
Yes.
I mean, that to me would be the, no? Yes, we don't, you know? Look, I understand your frustration. Don't worry.
I'm not as frustrated as people that had shit all over their lawns.
Yeah, look, I understand that, right?
Can I
I'll
just
tell you
say
another
though,
story. Yeah.
that- I mean, I was alongside Tim with that as well, but the point is that you have a team, the team votes, majority wins,
Yeah.
we need to get on with it.
Yeah, it's a
And sometimes we'll win and sometimes we lose.
We didn't lose as much as those people who years after the issue were still having the issue.
Yeah, but
I know your point, and I know how it works.
Thank you for that. So, no further questions? So we've got a recommendation that we receive the Better Off funding report. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Murdoch. A second, Councillor Craig. All those, no further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Can I have a mover that we move into public excluded? Thank you, Councillor David. Second, Councillor Betts. We will wait for Taria to